Hello, and welcome to the Week 8 recap video. There's not a lot to talk about, not a lot of games to talk about, but there's a lot to talk about this week in this recap, so I'm going to jump right into it. First was number 6 Michigan at number 24 Michigan State. Now, Michigan State was coming off a surprising win against Penn State, and Michigan came off their win against Wisconsin, which I believe was their first win over a ranked opponent this year, which really put them back on the map. I had picked Michigan to win this game, and they didn't disappoint. They went on the road into their in-state rival and put up 21 points on them, which doesn't sound like much, but they held Michigan State to 7, which means that Michigan's defense is showing up for this, and they're trying to get themselves back in that talks of maybe making the playoffs if they run the table. Next would be number 9, Oklahoma at TCU. Now, I had Oklahoma winning this game on the road, and they did. They let up a bunch of points to TCU, but they scored more, so that's the important part. Next is Maryland at number 19, Iowa. I had Iowa winning this game. I thought it would be close, but actually Iowa ran away with it. Pardon me. Next was number 20, Cincinnati at Temple. I had Cincinnati winning this one. I thought it would be a close game, but I felt like Cincinnati had had a good season so far and would continue that. But Temple pulled out the upset win at home and gets themselves right in that ship, and I believe that improves them to 5-2 on the season. Next is Illinois at number 23, Wisconsin. I had Wisconsin winning this game, bouncing back from that loss to Michigan last week, and they didn't disappoint. Illinois trying to get themselves back on the right track, but they're kind of not ready to compete, I think, yet at the Big Ten. Next was number 1 Alabama at Tennessee. Now, I had Alabama winning this game. Tennessee, they had a wonderful game last week against Auburn, but I feel like they just weren't in the same class as Alabama. And they really weren't. Alabama won that one, hands down. Next was number 16, NC State versus number 3, Clemson. I had Clemson winning this one at home. I thought it would be a little bit closer, but it turns out that NC State just was not ready to play with Clemson, and Clemson ran away with the game. Next is Colorado at number 15, Washington. I had Washington winning this game at home. I didn't buy into the Colorado hype as much. It was a closer game than I anticipated, but Washington did win. Next was Next was number 18, Penn State at Indiana, and I had Penn State winning this game. Indiana did keep it close like I anticipated, but Penn State did come out with, I believe, the 33-28 victory. So Penn State rights their ship, avoids going 3 losses in a row for the first time in a long, long time. Next was number 22, Mississippi State at number 5, LSU. Now, I picked LSU to win this game, and they did. Their defense showed up and played hard. So, I mean, it was a fun game for LSU fans. The only downside for LSU is that one of their best defensive players, if not their best defensive player, committed a penalty at the end of the game in the fourth quarter. It was called targeting, and he was out for the rest of the game, but he has to sit out the first half of their next game. Their next game is Alabama, when they need him most. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens there. Next is number 10, UCF at East Carolina. I had UCF winning this one, keeping their streak alive, and they did not disappoint on that. They did get the win and come away with a huge victory over East Carolina. Keeps their undefeated season alive and the longest active win streak alive. Next was UConn at number 21, South Florida. I had South Florida winning that game at home, and they did. However, UConn kept it a lot closer than I anticipated. So it'll be interesting to see what happens next week for South Florida. Next on the list is possibly one of the biggest games. Number 2, Ohio State at Purdue. I had Ohio State winning this game on the road. I thought that was an easy pick, but they ran that story on College Game Day about the fan for Purdue whose cancer has been found to be terminal. He's not got very long, they say, and he was gonna be at the game, and he said when asked what he wanted, he said, "I want the Purdue to beat Ohio State." And everyone's like, "It's great that he wants that, but I mean, that's not going to happen. Come on, it's Ohio State." But boy, did it happen. 49-20. Purdue came up with the huge upset, and that puts Purdue at a 4-game win streak. They started 0-3, and they're now 4-3. So it was a huge game, and honestly, very surprising. Next on the list was number 12, Oregon, at number 25, Washington State. I had Oregon winning this game. Now, Washington State was having their first ever college game day hosting, and I underestimated the energy on that campus. Washington State came away with the big win, puts themselves at, I believe, 6-1. That one loss being to USC, which controversial. They believe they should have won that game, but I gotta say that I was impressed with Washington State. And last but not least on the list, Vanderbilt at number 14, Kentucky. I had Kentucky winning this game. Vanderbilt did really well. It was 7-7 for almost the whole game. Kentucky got the late score, wins the game 14-7. So that does it for the games. That means I got 12 of the 15 correct this week, puts me at an 80% even. For the year, that puts me at 122 out of 156, which is 78.2% on the games that matter. And on the whole week, 55 games picked, I got 43 of them correct. That puts me at a 78.2 as well for this week. Thank you guys for tuning in. If you like what I'm doing, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. And I'll see you guys for the Week 9 predictions video.